on your soul.
Hello, I'm Zeynep, co-founder and social media manager of Headliner magazine. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. We're just on tour in the UK at the moment, so tonight is our last date of that tour before we come over to Istanbul. So yeah, it's been good. We're in Bristol tonight.
Oh, that's great. We're so excited about your upcoming Istanbul concert. Recently, I have had the opportunity to see you live in Bursa for Nilüfer Müzik Festival. How do you feel returning to Turkey?
Yeah, great. I mean, we really enjoyed that festival, and obviously we haven't been to Istanbul, I think, well, it's well over 5 years now. So yeah, I think we're really looking forward to coming back and playing. It should be good, you know. And I think we have a day off as well, so actually to spend some time in the city is going to be really nice. To just kind of be a tourist for a day or just, you know, hang around will be good because we don't often get the opportunity to do that. So it should be nice.
Oh, that's great. The weather in Istanbul is really great. I think you're going to enjoy staying here.
Cool.
And how is your tour going? I think it's going to be your sixth or fifth night.
Yeah, it's been really good. We were in London last night, and the crowds have been pretty amazing. Really, it's been our first UK tour with Ben. We did Europe in the autumn, and yeah, it's been really nice to just, I guess, because of the pandemic and stuff, it's felt like a while since we've been on the road. I think it's been a while that a lot of people have gone to concerts as well. So there's like a kind of mutual excitement and energy that's just in the rooms at the moment, and it's been really good to play.
Yeah, we all missed concerts so much. So all the tour news are so exciting for us. And let's talk about your EBM album featuring Benjamin John Power. For me, this record really sounds like the 80s synth pop and rock albums. So could you talk about the inspirations and the recording of this album?
Yeah, I mean, it came about in kind of a strange way, really, because at the back end, the band had just finished doing the sort of greatest best of kind of hits thing, and we were talking with Ben at that time. We'd been booked to do a show in Belgium where we were going to headline 2 nights and do one night as a kind of traditional Edison set, and then the second night as something different. And we talked about maybe doing something acoustic, but we felt that we'd done that kind of thing a lot. And then we talked, you know, the idea sort of came up about working with Ben, who we'd done some stuff with on the record previously. And the idea was to try and make Editor's songs more electronic or more sort of club friendly. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, that show didn't happen. But we began throwing some ideas around, and then he sent an idea for potentially a new song, and we loved it. And Tom wrote lyrics to it, and then we just carried on that way, really, through the pandemic, because there was nothing else to do. We just continued to write these songs, and by kind of 6 months, we had the basis of, you know, the most of a record. So it was quite quick for us. We normally spend quite a long time writing and recording, so that all happens very fast. And I think that the songs have a kind of immediacy to them that's probably due to that. But yeah, I think the kind of 80s rock synth pop thing, it's kind of like it's just kind of where I guess our mutual sensibilities with Ben like coexist, and we all love that kind of music, and it's definitely like mutual kind of fun and playground for us to explore those sounds.
Yeah, we can hear the shift between, you know, the previous albums and the last one. And when you were talking, I wonder which was the first song that Ben and Sam wrote together.
It was Karma Climb was the first one.
Yeah,
that was
the single from the album.
Yeah, it was the first one that came through, and I think that kind of paved the way for the record in some ways. In some ways, that probably is the most kind of combination of all those things. But yeah, that was the first one that we did.
Yeah, I really love that song. We actually heard it live in Bursa. It was released
Yeah.
back then. It was before the album, but Karma Climb, Heart Attack, these songs were released, and I hope we're going to listen to them live again in Istanbul as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we've been playing the new record, well, quite a bit from the new record live. It's been going down really well. It's been great.
And since Benjamin has joined the band permanently, I think editor is going to have songs like this again in the next albums or in the next works. We can say that, right?
I mean, you never know with us. We always tend to do something different. Yeah, I think everyone, I can't really say at the moment. It's like, until we start thinking about it and get into a room together, we never know what's going to happen. And quite often we end up doing the opposite of what we did before. But I think, there is quite an inkling to kind of push this EBM and maybe kind of make it like an EBM 2 kind of thing, which I think we'd quite like to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens in the next coming months and stuff. I think we'll tour for the summer doing still on the EBM thing and then really get stuck into what we want to do next.
So what does EBM stands for? I mean, I read that it means editors and blank mess as referring to Benjamin. Is it that, or is it just a word game with EDM? What does it stand for?
It's more. It's kind of has a few meanings to a degree. So obviously the editor's blank mass thing, but when Ben was initially joining the band and I was doing a lot of the production work and we were going to do this festival, I said, wouldn't it be good if we didn't go on stage as editors again? We went on stage as something else. And I think the reference points from that time, we were talking about the 80s and the rock thing. There was a movement in the 80s which was called EBM, which was electro body music.
Yes.
And that was kind of like, I don't think it's a direct reference. And I don't think, if you listen to those records, you wouldn't say that our record sounds identical to them, but there's definitely a lot of similarities and sounds that we've used on this record that reference it. And again, it's something that me and Ben kind of share like a mutual love of. And I kind of thought the world that Ben comes from is quite like industrial and it's quite confrontational and aggressive. And obviously Edison's are slightly more melodic and heartfelt. And I've felt that when we started working together, we might end up in a sort of kind of world that was EBM. And then obviously with it being Editor's Blank Mass, it kind of just felt like too good a coincidence to not use it, really.
Mm-hmm. I think it turned out really well with the logo, with the cube of E. Yeah, and in terms of music, in the last few years, the bands of post-punk and rock revival have made a comeback. The Strokes, Interpol, Arctic Monkeys, and you've released new albums with different new sounds, but always in the root of rock and punk. So how do you see the presence of rock music in the industry?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think, things are always cyclical and, fashions and trends tend to come in and out all the time. And I think, you're right. You're now at a younger generation who're probably coming around to hear bands from when we came out, when we started, and they'll start to think, oh man, that was really cool. Like when I was growing up, I thought about that with the 80s. It's like, oh man, imagine being a kid in the 80s, all these wicked bands. So I think it's kind of nice to see it. And I think the bands that have done well and maintained are bands that have been able to change their sounds and evolve and take their audiences on a journey. I think Arctic Monkeys is a good example of that. Yes. In terms of the wider industry, I'd like to see some younger bands doing more interesting things. I think at the moment in England, there's definitely a very punk sound to a lot of artists that are doing this kind of full talking style. I'd quite like to find some new singers. I think there's kind of a lack of really good, talented singers in rock music at the moment. And that's kind of what I would like to see start coming through is, some kids that can really sing and really play. And it's not just style over substance, or do you know what I mean? just trying to be fashionable or whatever. So, so I think it's an interesting time, but I do think things are cyclical, and a lot of younger bands will be inspired by what bands of our time did, and hopefully there'll be some great new sort of indie bands coming out soon.
Yeah, we hope so. And is there anything you would like to say to your Turkish fans?
Just that we're very, very excited for Sunday night. Really, we can't wait. It's been since we got it in the diary. We've been excited about it. So, yeah, to come back to Turkey and play in Istanbul, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, if there's anything like the show in the summer, then yeah, it should be great.
Yeah, we hope so, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much for our conversation, and see you, Istanbul.
No problem.
See you. Bye bye.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye.